Now, let me deal with this other matter. I can't leave without dealing with the CCJ matter. I got to deal with the CCJ matter. But let me see what else I can throw in the meanwhile. Now, you remember the last occasion on Monday, those of you who were in class, there was a tape I was trying to get. I didn't get. Give you an insight as to the old CCJ controversy. Well, I found it. As I promised, I would look for it and I would play it. So let me start off this session by playing that tape. Here we go.
Assembly of Central Legal Practitioners President Kyle Taklal Singh wants regional leaders to deal immediately with problems that have surfaced between the President of the Caribbean Court of Justice and its sitting judges.
Having seen and read what has been written, I have to call upon the Prime Ministers of the Caribbean and CARICOM as a whole to launch an immediate investigation into these matters. The investigation has to be prompt, thorough, and transparent in order to restore confidence in the court. The unfortunate thing is that the Caribbean Court of Justice has been doing good work to inspire trust and confidence among the Caribbean people in the court to become eventually the final or the apex court for all Caribbean territories.
Mr. Taklal Singh is among members of the local legal fraternity who are weighing in on a Sunday Express exclusive report about concerns by a majority of the CCJ's judges contained in email about the leadership of the court's president.
Having read the communication among the judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice, as reported in the Express today, I am left with a sense of foreboding concern. The communications tend to demonstrate the potential dictatorial administration of the court. It also perhaps demonstrates improper attempts to influence the decision of certain judges.
Assembly of Southern Lawyers President Sarah Lachlan also made reference to the internal correspondence of the judges of the CCJ as reported by the Sunday Express.
The allegations concerning the Caribbean Court of Justice are serious and should not be dismissed in my view, but neither should conclusions be reached about any individual judge on the basis of allegations and correspondence in the public domain. The CCJ's own judicial conduct framework places independence, integrity, impartiality, and accountability at the heart of judicial office.
The CCJ has its headquarters in Port of Spain.
Any concerns raised within the court should therefore be addressed through the appropriate institutional processes, fairly and transparently, and in accordance with the standards governing judicial conduct, and without prejudicing the allegations. The CCJ is bigger than any individual office holder. The overriding concern must be preserving the independence and integrity of the court and public confidence in the administration of justice across the Caribbean.
In response to a question from TV6 News, opposition MP and senior counsel Stuart Young urged caution in commenting on the situation, but also said he is always very concerned when there are any allegations involving incursions into the independence of the judiciary. Senior counsel Young said that he trusts that the judges at the CCJ, as well as the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission, with any issues that may exist with the sensitivity that is required, and that they would be mindful of the protection of the institution of the CCJ and the important offices of judges of the CCJ. While all CARICOM member states subscribe to the CCJ for original jurisdiction matters such as trade disputes, Trinidad and Tobago is among the CARICOM member states that are yet to replace the Privy Council in London with the CCJ in Port of Spain as their final court of appeal for appellate matters. Jules Brown, TV6 News.
Right, so that is the tape I was looking for. There's another document I have to find, but I'm going to hope to get it so I can read that to you. So share. So you got a background there. You got a background. Then people, I told you all on Monday about the CCJ, what the CCJ is and all that kind of thing. But I see questions were still asked, questions were still asked. So let me tell you something, the research that I did about the CCJ. CCJ, which is the Caribbean Court of Justice, was established on February 14, 2001. When the founding agreement was signed, the agreement entered into force on July the 23rd, 2003, and the court was officially inaugurated on April the 16th, 2015. So the key milestones are February the 14th, agreement establishing the court of the Caribbean Court of Justice was signed by the initial CARICOM member states. On July the 23rd, the founding agreement officially came into force. On April the 16th, and that was July 23rd, 2003. On April the 16th, 2005, the CCJ was formally inaugurated in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. They said the core roles of the court, it has the original jurisdiction, and it acts as an international court interpreting the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas for the Caribbean community, for CARICOM. So that is one of the roles to that, and that is the original jurisdiction. So it has two jurisdictions. It has the original jurisdictions, of which all those members, which Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago are all part of that jurisdiction, the original jurisdiction to interpret the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. So if the countries get any issue relating to the revised treaty, whether it's to do with trade or so on, they can go to the CCJ. It has that original jurisdiction. Then it has the appellate jurisdiction. And in the appellate jurisdiction, it serves as the final court of appeal for civil and criminal matters for member states that have acceded to it. And only 5 member states have acceded to the appellate jurisdiction. Those 5 member states are Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Guyana, and St. Lucia. The other persons, the other states, still retain, I think most of all of them, the Privy Council of the UK as the final court of appeal. So let me understand that. Let's understand. They have the final court, many of those countries have the final court as the Privy Council. So even though the court is housed in Trinidad and Tobago does not recognize the CCJ as the final court of appeal. They still go to the Privy Council. Jamaica too still go to the Privy Council, other countries as well. Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and they think St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, they all go to Antigua and Barbuda, they still go to the Privy Council as a final court. And from long, some of those countries express concern about the role of the court and the fact that they can seek to influence certain outcomes, certain decisions. So it would appear now that the fears are being realized. That is what the fear based on what we're seeing now. And so I'll give you that background. And let me say this, because they're jumping up and they're saying all kind of thing, but then we have to remember too that the complaint is against the president of the court. The complaint is against the president of the court. They're saying he's acting in a dictatorial manner. They're saying that he's attempting to manipulate the court. He's fixing panels to get certain outcomes, which these are serious allegations. But I say this because I will read a little later to tell you that some of the people are more concerned, like the Bar Council of the Guyana Bar Association and others. They're more concerned with the fact that of the leak, the fact that internal correspondence was leaked to the thing was the Express in Trinidad. They're more concerned with that. They're not concerned about the substance of the leak. So the Guyana Bar Council came out with a statement which I will read to you later. But before I go there, let me remind you, or let me say this. When you listen to the concerns raised, it means to me, I see that you have people there, these judges, right, who are concerned about what's going on. And I believe that if they felt that the internal mechanisms could have handled this matter, it would not have been leaked, because whether it's a judge leaked it or some staff, the thing was leaked. And I am saying that the only reason why it was leaked, or one of the reasons why it was leaked, because there's no confidence in whatever mechanism they have to correct this thing is going to work. Because if these are judges, these are eminent jurists, and if they believe, well, again, I can't say they leak it because I don't know of any one of the judges leaking, but whoever leaked it, if it's a staff member, whoever leaked it, basically they're saying that we don't have confidence that whatever internal mechanism we have can deal with this thing. So we're doing a conflict management. As I learned many years ago when I attended university, conflict management. You escalate the conflict, bring in the public in it now, then that is what they have done. They decide it's not going to resolve if we keep it within the CCJ or mechanisms within the CCJ. So conflict management, you take it to another level, and they leaked it. But let me don't forget that court, that CCJ, had some stalwarts, right? As some stalwarts. I remember the first president of the CCJ, Michael de la Bastide, or de la Bastide. He served from 2005 to 2011. He was the first president. I can't recall him hearing anything adverse when Mr. de la Bastide was the president. Then he was succeeded by the Honorable Sir Charles Michael Dennis Byron, who served from 2011 to 2018. He was the second president of the CCJ. I can't recall hearing anything adverse about him. Then we have, after that, you have Mr. Adrian Saunders. He served from 2018 to 2025. And during his tenure, you had suspicions about several things, including the election issue in Guyana, where, as I mentioned on Monday, Article 177 of the Constitution of Guyana says that matters relating to election. Let me read what it says here. The Court of Appeal shall have exclusive jurisdiction to hear and determine any question as to the validity of an election of a president, insofar as that question depends upon the qualification of any person for election or the interpretation of this Constitution. And any decision of that court under this paragraph shall be final. So there was a question about interpretation of the Constitution as it relates to valid votes. As it relates to valid votes. And the appeal code, Guyana Appeal Code rule one way. So valid votes mean what does it mean? Because they were saying that once the people were arguing, PPP and them, that once a vote go in the box, it is valid. The counter argument to that, no, the Representation of People Act and all this, they got to get these boxes got to be accompanied by statutory documents. And therefore, if the boxes did not have statutory documents, as so many boxes on the lower East Coast did not have, then those votes cannot be considered valid votes. That was the gist of the argument. It went to the CCJ. And notwithstanding the fact that the Article 177.4 of the Constitution of Guyana says that any interpretation, right, of the Constitution as it relates to the election and any decision of that court under this paragraph shall be final. It was surprising to many that the CCJ gave itself jurisdiction to deal with the matter. So, and the president there, I think, president there was Adrian Saunders. So since then, a lot of people, including me, had questions about the CCJ, right? And then, remember, well, you have the current president now, Winston Anderson. So I think he's the fourth president against whom all these allegations are being made. And then when we look to see some of the allegations, and let me say this again, these allegations are not made by aggrieved litigants. These are not people who took cases to the CCJ and are peeved over the fact that the decision might have gone against them. right? This is a case where people, 5 of them, there are 6 justices on the CCJ, 6 justices, and 5 of the 6 justices, all the justices then are calling out the president for his dictatorial behavior, his manipulating of the panels to undo decisions. And I even mentioned the recent extradition case against Mohammed. So again, the question is to be asked, how can we sit comfortable with this man there? Let's be real. Let me assume that all of these things, well, you got go through a process and so on. Let's just imagine what the relationship is going to be in that court now, that this thing has been leaked, and everybody now, all 5 of the judges, what you want to say, they gang up on it? They gang up on it. They have pointed out specific cases. You want to say they pointed up on they gang up on it? And let me, again, I say that court, over the years, I mentioned some of those persons. You had Madam Desiree Bernard, served from 2005 to 2014. She was an inaugural bench member and the first female chancellor of the Judiciary of Guyana, Madam Justice Bernard. Nobody can say anything ill about those persons. You had also Justice Duke Pollard from Guyana, 2005 to 2010. Then you had Justice David Ayton, 2005 to 2018. You had the late Justice Witt, right? You saw from 2005 to 2023, to 2023, 2005 to, well, they said 2005 to 2023, Justice Witt. That's the same man who had to upbraid Anil Nandlal, our Attorney General, when he disclosed on his, or let me put it this way, when an embargo decision in the election petition was prematurely revealed on his page, and then he blamed some administrator or somebody. And the Justice Witt was the man who delivered, and the Justice Witt was scathing in his remark. He accused the Attorney General of bringing the CCJ into disrepute. That is what, not me, Justice Witt, who is now deceased, said so. Then you also have Andrew Burgess, who was there from 2019 to 2025. So you have people of caliber, and you still have people of caliber on the court. But everything seemed to be pointing to the man who is there as the president. The man who is there as the president, things are pointing to. And then, let me play this one for you now, because yesterday, there was an interview with the leader, former leader of the opposition, Mr. Norton. There was an interview, and it's about 2.5 hours solicited.
Leader of the People's National Congress Reform and APNU Orbie Norton has issued a call for reform of the Caribbean Court of Justice in light of recent allegations surrounding the president of the Apex Court for several Caribbean countries, Justice Winston Anderson. In an interview, Norton detailed his own experience with Justice Anderson, describing an approach he says raised serious concerns about the judge's impartiality and involvement in Guyana's domestic politics.
It has to be impartial. It has to live by judicial culture of independence and separation of powers. And to me, Justice Anderson was involved in some amount of overreach.
Norton recounted being told that the then acting Chancellor, Justice Yonette Cummins Edwards, had already agreed to step aside to make way for another appointee, a claim he says Anderson made based on his own direct involvement in the negotiations.
He said that she was satisfied with the package that she got from the government. So I asked him how he knew that. And he said he was part of the negotiation in some regard, or he facilitated. I found that strange. I found it odd that he should be involved in that.
While Norton stopped short of calling for Anderson's outright removal over separate misconduct allegations reported within the court, he said the conflict of interest he witnessed firsthand warrants accountability.
But I don't want to call for his removal on the basis of an issue that I'm not very much knowledgeable of. In fact, When I read what is written, the judges themselves called for an internal meeting so that they could discuss the issue and avoid it from arriving at crisis proportion. And if the justices were that cautious, I wouldn't become kind of flamboyant and go out there saying he should resign on an issue that I don't know of. But as it relates to my concern of a conflict of interest and his involvement in Ghana politics, I think he should do the decent thing.
Despite the controversy, Norton maintained his support for the Caribbean integration and the CCJ's mandate, insisting the institution can be salvaged through structural reform. Norton's comments come as questions mount over Justice Anderson's leadership following reports of internal divisions within the CCJ.
Yeah, so you order there. I'm trying to find some documents. I don't know, things happen. I have some documents here. I prepared this morning and I can't find it now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a little intermission while I try to find the document, and then I'm going to come back to it. So let's hear. I have so much to say. So let me, as you can see, the light has gone out too. And then, but let me play this. Hopefully I can find the document, and then I'm going to get back to you. Here we go.
So much things to say right now. They got so much things to say. Hey, but I'll never forget no way they crucified Jesus Christ. I'll never forget no way they sold Marcus Garvey for rights. Ooh, I'll never forget no way they turned their back on Paul Bogle. Hey, hey, so don't you forget who you are and where you stand in the struggle. They got so very, so very, they're saying everything, they say so much today. They got so much things to say, so much things to say. I come to fight flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high and low places. So while they fight you down, stand firm and give Jah thanks and praises. Cause I do expect to be justified by the laws of men. By the laws of men. Oh, jury found me guilty, but truth shall prove my innocence. Oh, when the rain falls, all now, it won't fall and one man's house stop. Remember that. When the rain falls, it won't fall on one man's house stop. They're singing so very much, so very much, so very much, so very. They got so much things to say right now. Yeah, they got so much things to say. I and I no come to fight flesh and blood. Spiritual wickedness in high and low places. So while they fight you down, stand firm and give Jah thanks and praises. I and I no expect to be justified by the laws of men. By the laws of men. They true got to prove my innocence. I don't do wicked things, they found me guilty. They got they loving all the time. So much things to say. Rumor about they got the rumor without humor. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, still can't find what I'm looking for. Anyhow, I think I get enough material to continue here this afternoon. And then maybe Friday, I am going to bring you up to date with some of these things. I still ain't getting back my light. I don't know what happened, light gone off, and so on. I'm working on one light. So y'all be with me, my apologies. You know? Let me say this, because following that, there are several organizations, I should say, and institutions that have come out with statement, you know, following the revelation, this damning revelation about what is going on at the CCJ. The people came out, including the Bar Council of the Guyana Bar Association. The Bar Council of the Guyana Bar Association came out with a statement. And here what the statement from the Guyana Bar Council says. Statement by the Guyana Bar Council of the statement of the Bar Council of the Bar Association of Guyana on media reports concerning the leak of internal correspondence among judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice. That is the headline. It goes to say now, the Bar Council of the Bar Association of Guyana has noted with grave concern media reports concerning the leak of internal correspondence among the judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Caribbean Court of Justice, as Guyana's final appellate court and the only court vested with jurisdiction to interpret and apply the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, must remain a bastion of justice in the Caribbean. Its institutional integrity must therefore be respected, protected, and preserved. Internal correspondence and deliberation within the court are and must remain confidential. By itself, the act of disclosing such correspondence, not its content, risk bringing the administration of justice into disrepute. The legal profession expects and respects robust discussion among the members of the court. The unauthorized disclosure of internal correspondence to the media would constitute a gross breach of confidence and a serious dereliction of duty by any person responsible. The Bar Council believes that the President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, as the leader of the court, should be afforded sufficient latitude to articulate and implement a vision for the court and the principles governing its administration, with due regards to the Code of Judicial Conduct of the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Bar Council expresses no view on the substance of the matters raised in the correspondence, dated 10th of August 2026. So the Guyana Bar Council expresses no view on the allegations made in the correspondence. They are focusing on the fact that this correspondence was leaked. And I say again, the fact that the correspondence was leaked is not no outside body leakage, not no litigant. It's someone from within, either one of the judges or some staff member, someone who has access to that. And that speaks volumes. That tells you, in my view, that they have no confidence in the internal mechanism to right what they perceive as being wrong. That is what it tells me. But the Bar Association, I did some research, and I don't know where the document disappeared to. I did some research on the Guyana Bar Association, the council, to tell you what the mandate of the Guyana Bar Council is, who are the officers in the Guyana Bar Council, the Bar Association, and the council. I did all of that overnight, and now I can't find it. But in response to that release by the Guyana, the council, the Bar Council, Attorney at Law, Mr. Nigel Hughes, CA Nigel Hughes, right? He issued a statement rejecting the approach of the Guyana Bar Association. Mr. Hughes issued a statement rejecting the approach by the Guyana Bar Association. Here what the statement says. The recent disclosure of internal correspondence among judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice has understandably generated widespread concern throughout Guyana and the wider Caribbean. While I fully accept that judicial deliberations and internal communications are generally intended to remain confidential, it would be a grave mistake to focus exclusively on the fact of the leak while ignoring the substance of what has been revealed. The statement issued by the Bar Council Bar Association of Guyana emphasizes the importance of preserving the confidentiality of judicial communication and expresses no view on the substance of the matters disclosed. It further suggests that the disclosure itself, rather than its content, risks bringing the administration of justice into disrepute. I respectfully disagree. More fundamentally, I am not persuaded that the statement reflects the views of a significant section of the Guyanese legal profession. Many practitioners, both senior and junior, have expressed serious concerns, not about the disclosure itself, but about the matters disclosed. Indeed, there appears to be widespread unease that the Bar Council has chosen to remain silent on issues which go to the very heart of judicial governance, institutional accountability, and public confidence in the administration of justice. Confidentiality is an important principle, but it cannot become a shield behind which serious allegations concerning the operations of the court are insulated from scrutiny. Public confidence in the administration of justice is not maintained by secrecy alone. It is maintained by confidence that judicial institutions operate in accordance with the principles of fairness, transparency, accountability, collegiality, and respect for established processes. The information contained in the leaked correspondence is deeply troubling. According to the reports, concerns were raised by a majority of the sitting judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice regarding issues of governance, consultation, decision-making, judicial administration, and leadership. Allegations reportedly include unilateral decision-making, concerns about the composition of judicial panels, attempts to influence judicial outcomes, and complaints regarding an increasingly problematic internal culture within the court. These are not trivial complaints, nor are they complaints emanating from external critics of the court. They are concerns reportedly expressed by members of the court itself, including a majority of its serving judges. If accurate, they suggest a significant loss in confidence within the institution by those charged with carrying out its constitutional responsibilities. For Guyana, these developments carry particular significance. The Caribbean Court of Justice is our final appellate tribunal. It occupies the highest position in our judicial hierarchy and serves as the ultimate guardian of legal rights and constitutional protections. Its authority depends not upon force, but upon public confidence in its independence, impartiality, and institutional integrity. The question which therefore arises is not simply who leaked the correspondence. The more important question is whether the matters disclosed reveal systemic concerns which require urgent examination and remedial action. A profession committed to the rule of law should not instinctively seek to suppress discussion of issues affecting the governance of its highest court. Rather, it should insist upon processes capable of determining the facts, addressing legitimate concerns, and restoring confidence where confidence has been shaken. The objective must not be to undermine the Caribbean Court of Justice. On the contrary, the objective must be to protect it. Strong institutions are strengthened, not weakened, when concerns are confronted openly, honestly, and responsibly. The reported correspondence has revealed matters that are sufficiently serious to warrant more than expression of regret about a breach of confidentiality. They call for careful and independent examination. The public, the legal profession, and litigants throughout the Caribbean are entitled to reassurance that the court continues to operate in accordance with the highest standards of judicial independence, integrity, and good governance. Nothing less is required, if confidence in the court and its processes is to be fully restored. So says CA Nigel Hughes, managing partner, U Fields and Story. And I agree wholly and fully. The Guyana, the Bar Council of the Bar Association are concerned more about the leak. Yeah, the leak should be of concern too. But what about the substance of what is being disclosed? That doesn't concern you? That allegations are made that the court is being run in a dictatorial manner? That the president seeks to manipulate decisions by selecting panels and all of that? That is not of should that not be of concern to the Guyana Bar Council? As I've said, I regret, student, because I had some more to tell you about it, to give you some more perspective, but I can't find the document which I painstakingly prepared this morning. Right? So this thing, I say this. I say congratulations to Mr. Nigel Hughes. And full disclosure, he has represented me and is representing me in other matters. Right? So full disclosure. So, but I'm not biased. When you read, when I read or you listen to what I just read, you got to understand that Mr. Hughes is on point. The council of the Guyana Bar Association, more concerned with the leak. They're more concerned that what they claim confidentiality was breached, in that this email was leaked to the papers in Trinidad. And they say to themselves, you know, what they say in the last paragraph here, the Bar Council expresses no view on the substance of the matters raised in the correspondence. Oh my God. You express no view, but don't you have a view on it? You're saying that you express no view, which is fine, you don't express a view. But are you saying that you do not have a view on what is being revealed? The substance of what is being revealed? You don't have a view? My God. How about you look? Let me look. I ain't gonna call it off the top of my head. Let me tell you all the composition of the as I said, I did do the research this morning, but somehow I can't find it now. Hold on. And you know, because the research I did would have given you the full thing about the Bar Association, when it was formed, who are the current members of the Bar Association, the executive members, who are the members of the Bar Council. All of that, I did the research. All I can tell you, hold on. One moment. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'm getting some problems with it. You know, one of these days, one of these things. I took my time since last night, you know, and I did all this work only to now not be able to find this thing. It's damn frustrating, right? It is bloody well frustrating, right? Because I did all the work to tell you when it was formed, who are the current officers of the Bar Association itself, and all that. Because they had a meeting, the annual meeting earlier this year. They had a meeting earlier this year and elected a new council and members. I think the attorney at law, Gusai, is the president or chairman, or we style. In terms of the Bar Council, I remember that Senior Counsel Story is the head of the Bar Council. I can remember that. But I had so much more to say about the Bar Council, right? I have a lot to say about it, right? But as I said, it is not here now, and I don't want to call him. I don't want to be able to, because you know them a liar. And then the next thing you know, they're going to say, me defame them, and they also will run me up the court step. I ain't taking a chance. So I'll wait until perhaps on Friday, I'm going to find it, because as I've said, I did the research and the document is there. I am going to find it to tell you who these people are and to give you a rundown of the Bar Council. But one of the things that occurred to me when I was doing the research this morning, I'm not airing anything about the female. There was a female organization, Guyana Female Law Association, something like that. I haven't heard anything about them, whether they have addressed this matter. I have not seen that. But I would believe that all right-thinking people should address. And Mr. Hughes made a very significant point in the letter, because he says there he's not sure that the Guyana Bar Association, the views of the Guyana Bar Association, represents the majority or most of the lawyers, because the Guyana Bar Association have made up, they say, of independent lawyers. All the lawyers, well, of course, they got to be members, because in the research this morning, there's a link which takes you to the Bar Association webpage. And on that webpage, it has all the lawyers who are members of the Bar Association. And I look for certain names. I don't find them. I look for James Bond. He's not listed. I look on the B's. I look for Calvin Brutus. He's not listed. I look for Wendell Blanham. He too is not listed. So I don't know if they are not members of the Guyana Bar Association, because I don't think it's something automatic. I think it's something you have to join. So I don't know what is going on there, but I look for those names and other names as well. Because the link was on the document. I said, let me, they again, I tell you the research mind, let me see who the members are. And I went and I clicked. It's there listed in alphabetical order. So you have all the names under the A's and the B's and so on and so forth. I checked this morning. I checked specifically for those names. I checked for other names as well, right? I checked for my friend Selwyn, who is listed. I checked for Mr. Hughes to see if he is listed. And I checked for others, and I saw that those persons are listed. But surprisingly, I checked for Bond, James Bond, 009. He is not listed. I checked for the CB 262, Calvin Brutus, 262, the number of charges that he has. He's not listed there. And I also checked for the crime chief, Wendell Blanham. He is not listed. And we know Blanham and Brutus were admitted to the bar to practice law. So I don't know if they haven't joined the Bar Association, right? Or maybe as somebody suggested, some of them, not those that I called, but others might be at the wrong bar, or the bar that the president is planning to soundproof. Maybe they